welcome back to the JetBackup video tutorial series. In this video, we'll cover the disaster recovery process in JetBackup 5. We'll explore how to get your server disaster recovery ready, go over some important best practices, and go through an actual disaster recovery to show you what to do when you need to perform a disaster recovery. You can always find additional tutorials by visiting jetbackup.com/tutorials. A major component of JetBackup's disaster recovery capability are JetBackup's JB-config backups. These backups contain data from JetBackup's internal database that will need to be restored in case of a disaster recovery situation. We can back up this data by enabling JB-config backups on one of our destinations using the JB-config toggle switch next to the desired destination. Once this job is created by toggling on JB-config backups, we can adjust a few settings here to our liking if we need to. By default, the job will be executed every night at 1 a.m. and retain 3 backups at a time. The config job is an encrypted compressed backup job that will dump the entire JetBackup, MongoDB, and JetIndex database in order to allow for disaster recovery. Since the JetBackup config backup job is encrypted, please make sure to keep a copy of your master encryption key in a secure remote location. If the original server is lost, there is no other ways to retrieve the master encryption key. However, you may still install a fresh JetBackup 5 instance and restore accounts using a read-only destination. As disaster recovery is a critical functionality of JetBackup 5 and is something you'll want to make sure is reliable, we have a range of recommendations and best practices for verifying JetBackup is able to perform a complete disaster recovery when it's needed. As a start, we recommend ensuring that the new environment you'll be restoring to is as similar to the source environment as possible. This is critical to limiting issues arising from inconsistencies between the two servers. This may include, but is not limited to, your server hardware, including your CPU, RAM, and hard drive, operating system, including your distribution and version, web server, Apache, Nginx, etc., database, including MySQL, PostgreSQL, and MongoDB, and other configurations and settings, add-ons, or extensions. We also highly recommend performing routine recovery testing. Testing your disaster recovery plan regularly may help ensure that you have an effective and well-designed plan. Simulating disaster recovery scenarios may help identify potential points of failure in your current plan, which can then be mitigated and/or addressed early on. When utilizing disaster recovery for upgrade/mitigation purposes, we highly recommend keeping the original server available for rollback until all accounts are restored and systems and features are verified to be functioning properly on the new server. JetBackup has the ability to restore from a disaster by storing our JetBackup internal database on your preferred destination. Performing a disaster recovery will restore the JetBackup configuration that was backed up, as well as give you the option to restore all the accounts that have backups located on the configured destinations. If for any reason you cannot perform a full disaster recovery, you can still restore your accounts manually from the destination without a master encryption key. With an entire data loss, your first step will be to install JetBackup on a supported platform that meets all of our system requirements. Our guide for installing JetBackup 5 is available at jetbackup.com/tutorials. After installation and accepting the EULA agreement, you'll be prompted to choose whether you want to restore from disaster, continue with existing data, or start a fresh install with the Disaster Recovery Wizard. Choose Recover from Disaster to continue with disaster recovery. From here, we need to restore JetBackup's internal database, so JetBackup will have all the information necessary to restore your accounts. The next step requires you to select your destination type. Any destination configured during disaster recovery will be added as a read-only destination. The local destination is selected in the destination type drop-down by default. When restoring from a remote destination, the related destination plugin will need to be installed from the JetApps repository first, and then JetBackup will guide you through this process. To restore JB-config, please select your destination from the destination type dropdown. You will see the Install Now prompt when selecting a remote destination type. Select Install Now to install the destination plugin, and then enter the destination details you gathered earlier. Choose the database backup or JetBackup settings that you want to restore from. Usually you'll want the most recent backup that was created. Enter the master encryption key in the encryption key field. If the key is valid, you'll see creating destination and reindexing JB configuration backups after clicking OK. This may take some time to complete depending on the size of your JetBackup database and the JB config backup. Once completed, you'll be prompted to adjust or change any settings you wish before entering JetBackup. Now we're ready to start restoring accounts. Simply choose the accounts you wish to restore through the Account Restore filters and hit the Finish and Log Into panel to continue to your JetBackup admin panel while accounts are being restored in the background. Your accounts are now in the restoration queue and may take some time to complete while the selected accounts are being restored. You can click Finish and Log Into panel and then visit the queue to check the status. Depending on your configuration, you may have encrypted backups that you need to restore. In order to restore an encrypted backup, it is required to have both the JB config and your master encryption key. If the master encryption key is missing, then the associated encrypted backups are permanently lost in the event of a disaster recovery. After completing a successful disaster recovery, there are a few important steps you should take after everything is back up and running. First, you should make sure you re-enable JB config exports on your destination of choice. As we went over previously, these backups are critical to a smooth disaster recovery. Following a disaster recovery, backup jobs are also disabled by default, and we'll need to re-enable these following the completion of any restores. In cases where you are migrating from a source server to a new server, please either make sure you uninstall JetBackup or disable all destinations and backup jobs on the source server to prevent any potential conflicts and multiple instances of JetBackup running the same job at once. When you have a disaster on your server and you have lost your data, if you didn't enable the JB config backup feature or have lost the master encryption key, you can still restore your accounts from your backup destination. In order to restore it, you have to go through a few steps. After setting up your server and installing your control panel of choice along with JetBackup, you can navigate to the JetBackup dashboard, and here you'll see the recovery wizard page. You'll want to click on New Installation. Once you've selected New Installation, you'll go to General Settings, and you want to change Days to Keep Orphan Backups value to 0, or Disabled. This will prevent JetBackup from removing any backups automatically. Next, we'll click Finish and navigate to Destinations and add our destination details. Thanks for joining us for this tutorial. In our next video, we'll be going over alerts as well as the queue and log sections of JetBackup 5. Please visit jetbackup.com/tutorials for a full list of helpful videos to guide you through setting up JetBackup to best fit your needs.